What's going on, guys? I'm here today to break down last night's Oakland Raiders Connected Careers Mode off-season live stream. It was a packed house last night for that live stream, my most popular of all time, and so thank you to everybody who came to that, and it was just a great time. I went through the entire off-season and then a little bit more. Didn't get into really much of the preseason besides practicing, but I always do this. Like, I do a stream and it lasted a few hours, and not everybody has the time to watch a 3-hour video or whatever. So I like to edit it down and show you guys the highlights in about 10 minutes, and you guys get to see all the information, whereas the live stream just has a bunch of extra stuff in there. But obviously, it was an 8-8 season for me and the Oakland Raiders, and it had its highs and lows. I mean, very much. It had a 5-game winning streak and a 4-game losing streak in a row. So that was how we ended the year, with 9 straight games having polar opposites. But we're going through here the offseason, and you can see the Minnesota Vikings have won the Super Bowl in the 2012 season, just like what happened in my Vikings franchise on Madden 12. And oddly enough, they beat Peyton Manning both times. So a few clips ago, you saw that we had some retirements already, and I expected Terrell Owens to retire, no surprises there. And also Brian Urlacher, Ray Lewis, and Chad Johnson are also done. So a lot of these veterans are now out of the league, and we're actually into the actual off-season now. So here is the first stage, which is re-signing your players. And I was surprised actually there wasn't like any stadium adjustments and stuff, and that's like in Madden 12, and you're coaching offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, maybe it doesn't matter anymore. But we're going through re-signing, and we're going to keep Marcel Reese because he's one of my favorite fullbacks in the league. He's very good at blocking, and he can also be an effective pass catcher out of the backfield. We're also going to offer a contract to Rod Streeter, who was ultimately our top leading receiver last year, as he actually played all 16 games, I believe, and was the healthiest receiver we had. Also going to re-sign Philip Wheeler, who played well at outside linebacker, especially in run support. And we're just going to go through and pretty much re-sign every young player that I had that I thought had some potential to grow. But most of the guys that had expired contracts were actually backups more than starters, so I kept around like Coy Francis and stuff because he had some good plays last year, and he's like a mid-70s player, so he can obviously grow. And I'm happy with the cornerbacks, actually, for the most part. I mean, they're all like in mid-70s, so they're all like decent contributors, but obviously cornerback is one of the positions I wanted to focus on in the draft. And you can see every contract was accepted besides Rod Streeter, who I lowballed a little bit, and so he's going to test free agency. And so following this, I devised a plan for free agency and the draft on positions I had to get, and I looked at my picks here. A first, a second, 2 fourths, remember the DHB trade, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th. So we have 7 picks, but we just have no 3rd rounder, which is a pretty valuable pick, actually. And so I wanted to test the trade market and also add Darren McFadden to the trading block, because he had 6 fumbles last year, and I just want to see what I can get and what's possible. But I got to free agency, and in my opinion, it's the same problem that hampered Madden 12 last year. They're just no good free agents. I mean, the best players are like Tavares Jackson and Devery Henderson. That's not a great class of free agents. I think what happens is that they make cap room, they make the cap too easy to manage for players who aren't like that good at the game or really know how to do contracts that well. And so you can essentially just sign whoever you have that has an expired contract, and it's not going to really hurt you. Like, I wanted to actually have to make a hard decision or see some big name free agents out there. Like, how about Mike Wallace being on the free agent market? That'd be pretty big, but there's nobody above an 87. And you don't really have to deal with cap casualties or expensive contracts. Like, essentially, if this cap was in the real NFL, the Vikings probably would have kept Sidney Rice because they wanted to keep him, but Sidney got offered a big contract from Seattle. That's basically how I think it should work in the game. And so I didn't give out too many contract offers. I mean, there was Sean Smith, and there was Rod Streeter. I still wanted to keep around, and no teams were interested in him. And also Andre Smith, because I did not resign Khalif Barnes, because he gave up too many sacks last year, and I can obviously replace him. So looking at some scouting, and whoa, 24 awareness. Are you even aware that you're on like the football team? Are you aware of what team you're playing for if you have that low of awareness? I'm not sure, but luckily I recruited or scouted that statistic there, because that may have been a guy I drafted otherwise. But there are some very good players here that I've been scouting over the past a couple months on this game, and I had a plan of attack. Definitely, I wanted to get a wide receiver, I wanted to get a running back that's a power runner, a quarterback, if I could, a franchise passer, a guard, defensive end, defensive tackle. Now, look at this. I had no idea how to tell if someone had outbid me, so I just kind of simulated it, and I ended up not getting Sean Smith or Andre Smith. I have nobody new through free agency at this point. And we're now reaching the NFL draft, so we're actually going to get new players now, but free agency, it was a major dud again, like it always was for me in Madden 12. It kind of sucks, but what can you do? So we go on to the draft now, and people are telling me to trade up for J.J. Smoke. I would have to trade up to the #1 overall pick because that's where he went. His 99 speed, whatever he had, like the 95 man coverage, dude's going to be a beast for St. Louis, and they have 2 first-round picks, so watch out for them in this series probably. And then we just go through and see the Panthers take another running back because you never have too expensive a backfield, I guess. And the Seahawks actually drafted a quarterback in the top 10. And, well, I guess Russell Wilson didn't pan out so well in the game because they were a top 10 pick team. And then the Rams, they're giving up on Sam Bradford, it looks like, because they took Rob Rovanovich, or however you say it. And he was like the guy who was always in the top story. So I had my plan when I got to my pick. It was no surprise, really. I said I wanted from the start, I wanted A.J. Ray. He was projected to be a first-round pick, about the bottom, 32nd. So I saw that there were some receivers available that were rated higher than him, and so for my 19th spot, I traded down, and I was looking at the offers, and there were some decent ones, but I wanted to get as many picks for this current year as possible, but there really wasn't any good offer besides Denver, and you don't do inter-division trades like that. And so I traded with the Minnesota Vikings. I get their first round pick, which is the pick 32 because they obviously won the Super Bowl, and I get their next year's third round pick. So we're going to double up on third rounders next year, which is pretty exciting because I love the draft. And so, sure enough, I simulate to my spot, and A.J. Ray is available with only one receiver above him. The trade down effectively worked, and now we move on to the second round, and I had to get a plan of attack here. I wanted to go corner. And now I don't have a third round pick, so that creates a little bit of a problem for me because I wanted to get A.J. Jones, but he was a mid-third round prospect. So it was kind of out of the range to take him in the second round, but he was still a really good player. But I had scouted a couple of corners that were rated higher than him, like as far as draft position goes, but I really wasn't sure who would be the better selection in the long run. Now, I was looking, and if Harold Tiasha got taken here, which he did, that means that the top corner available was Anthony Noel, a guy who I wanted. And so, to make it safe, I traded up to the Packers so I could end up getting Anthony Noel. And I think in hindsight, I wish I would have stayed at my spot and just drafted A.J. Jones because he was going to go in the top of the third anyway. You'll see in just a sec, the Vikings drafted a quarterback in the bottom of the second, actually pretty interesting after winning the Super Bowl. But A.J. Jones went third round, 4th pick overall in that round. So I think I should have gone for A.J. Jones instead of Anthony Noel, but I still have a good cornerback there either way. But now we go to the 4th round where my next selection was, and I had 2 4th round picks, remember, and I was trying to make a decision on what to do, and I saw draft time ticking down too fast, so I'm like, okay, just skip my pick and I'll take it. Like, what I think happens in the real NFL is that if you miss your pick, you end up like getting pushed back a slot. So like the Chargers would have jumped me, picked in the 12th spot, and I would get the 13th spot. I think that's what happens in the NFL. It's like how the Vikings got Kevin Williams in like 05 or whenever he was drafted. So I thought that would happen in the game, and it didn't. What happened was the computer drafted for me, and they took a cornerback, but after looking at his ratings, it was actually a pretty good cornerback too. So we go later now. We're in the 6th round, or the 5th round actually, and I took James Hazard, who was a 6th round prospect because I wanted James Hazard. And he was also one of the storyline players. And then my final pick, 6th round, I'm like, okay, we're going to take a quarterback. And I ended up selecting Patrick Papagiannopoulos, and immediately the comment section erupted in my live stream. There was like 700 or 800 people in the live stream at this time. They saw me take Papagiannopoulos, and all of a sudden all these big Papa messages start coming out. I had a couple of Twitter accounts get created for him by random fans, and then everybody wanted to see him in action. And there's a big Papagiannopoulos palooza already, apparently, in my Raiders offseason, just in that live stream alone. And so we'll obviously get to see him play in the preseason, which I have a plan for the preseason I think you guys will like. Now we're looking at the trade offers for Darren McFadden after the draft was finished, and there just wasn't anything worth taking. I mean, they were offering me like a decent player and a decent pick. I wanted a good player and then any pick you throw at me, basically. And so I'm like, alright, we're going to keep Darren McFadden for at least another year. I'm going to go pick up Chris Ivory in the free agency because he can be my power runner I wanted, and I like Chris Ivory, so I wanted him. And then Greg Zuerlein was a free agent, 95 kick power. Janikowski can't kick forever. I would like to think that he could, but he just can't. And then I made one more move because I could not get a pass rusher in the draft or free agency, so I'm going to go for my other option, a trade, a 5th rounder to the Minnesota Vikings for Everson Griffin, their backup to Jared Allen. He's extremely athletic at defensive end. He's a 270-pound D-end, and he runs with 80-something speed on here. He is extremely athletic, he's very versatile, and I love players like that, and I wanted him on this defense. I tried to get him last year, and I couldn't get him, and now I finally found my opportunity to finally get Everson Griffin on my team. So we're going through reordering the depth chart, going to get James Hazard some playing time. He's already a 78 overall. I knew he'd be great. He was a late-round prospect. He was a diamond in the rough, and nobody saw it besides me because it was part of the storylines, and I also just wanted to scout him based on name, kind of. And now back into the free agency. Will Hill is signed because we needed a free safety and some secondary depth, and he had very good zone coverage, and that's what I care about when it comes to safeties. Next, I signed Chris Houston, who had he had teams interested in him during the actual free agent period, but he was never signed. And so I signed him, and then I said to my fans, alright, pick one player you want me to sign, and if I see his name a bunch of times, I'll pick him. And Danny Amendola probably came through I don't know how many times, but it was a lot. And so Danny Amendola is now an Oakland Raider for at least the preseason, and I'm putting a couple players on notice here. Matt Shaughnessy and Jacoby Ford on the trading block, just because I like Everson Griffin more than Shaughnessy, and Jacoby Ford has injury problems and catching problems. Sometimes he drops a lot of passes for me. But then I went into practice mode so we can see some of our rookies in action, and well, AJ Ray is looking like a pretty good receiver. That's a lucky tip right there, but he still made the play. And my plan for the preseason is to give you guys an episode with 2 games an episode. So you're going to see 2 preseason episodes, and then we're going to go to the regular season and look at that. That was Patrick Papagiannopoulos throwing it long to AJ Ray. And welcome to Season 2 in the Oakland Raiders Connected Careers Mode series, guys. Carson Palmer's still a starter, by the way, but you're going to see the preseason up next, and so I'll have that out to you guys shortly. But thank you for watching. Leave your feedback in the comment section. Tell me how I did in this free agent period, in this offseason, and everything, the draft. And I'll see you guys later. Have a great day, everybody.